G'day everyone. Today we're diving into the hot topic that is Syria. And the question we want to answer is simple. Why is Syria in chaos? On today's episode of The Sovereign Thinker, we want to explore the geopolitical realities behind Syria's chaos. What are the fundamental forces that have shaped the situation? There are real, objective, geopolitical factors that can explain why Syria is where it is. Not just today, but throughout its history. And these are the forces, the geopolitical realities that we're going to unpack in this two-part episode about Syria's geopolitical story. If I can sum up this entire video in a sentence, it would be Syria's story serves as a stark reminder of how unfavorable geopolitical realities can destroy nations. And what do I mean by this? Well, Syria faces 5 geopolitical problems, which are Number 1, diversity and demographics. Various ethnic groups and religions exist in Syria. Number 2, artificial borders. Borders drawn up by foreign powers that did not take the demographic reality into consideration. Number 3, foreign interference. Divide and conquer. The exploitation of demographic divisions by foreign powers. Number 4, strategic location. Syria, located in the Levant, which is the crossroads of great power competition. And number 5, natural resources, specifically oil. If you know anything about geopolitics, and if you have these 5 problems, then you know that this is a recipe for disaster or chaos, which is where Syria finds itself. Syria's story begins with its diversity or demographics. It's a country with a complex mosaic of ethnicities and religions. You have Arabs, Kurds, and Druze, who form the main ethnic groups, while Sunni and Shia Muslims, Alawites, Orthodox Christians, and Catholics represent its religious fabric and the main source of division. This diversity is a double-edged sword. It did give Syria cultural richness, but it also made national unity a monumental challenge. In addition to this, if you watch my Israel-Palestine video, and if you haven't, please go check it out. The link is in the description. I mentioned the concept of permanent presence, the attempt by empires to turn conquered subjects into loyal subjects. Since Syria has been absorbed by many empires, it suffers the after effect of permanent presence. Therefore, not all divisions are based purely off religion. Some Sunnis are secular and support Assad, while others are more religious, therefore oppose Assad. In other words, the division within Syria is more nuanced than simply religion. I could talk for hours about this, but in the interest of time, the point is Syria is demographically divided. The modern state of Syria was born in the aftermath of the First World War, when European powers carved up the Middle East under the infamous Sykes-Picot Agreement. France and Britain, with little regard for the cultural and ethnic realities of the region, drew arbitrary borders that ignored Syria's internal complexities. These borders created what many call an artificial state, one built to serve foreign interests rather than the local people on the ground. Again, if you know anything about geopolitics, you know this is a surefire way to sow discord. When Syria became independent, it struggled to forge a unified national identity. Syrian leaders were tasked with the near impossible, bringing together groups with sharply different ideological, religious, and ethnic leanings. This challenge only deepened after the establishment of Israel in 1948, when Western powers, particularly the United States, adopted strategies that deliberately exploited divisions in the Middle East to secure Israel's survival. For Syria, this meant perpetual instability, and between the Second World War and the 1970s, Syria became a hotbed of coups, ideological conflicts, and social unrest. You had Arab nationalists, communists, Islamist factions, all competing for influence, while military leaders regularly toppled governments. The stage was set for perpetual chaos. During all this turmoil, a new ideology emerged, Baathism. The word Baath means rebirth or renaissance in Arabic. Baathism sought to unite the Arab world under a single secular nationalist identity, one that will transcend religious divides. Basically, the hope was that this ideology would solve the deep internal demographic divide. Its founders, Michel Aflaq, an Orthodox Christian, and Salah al-Din al-Battar, a Sunni Muslim, believed Arab unity was the key to escaping foreign interference and achieving stability and perhaps even one day prosperity. But Baathism was far from perfect. While it did appeal to Arab groups, it did alienate non-Arab minorities like the Kurds and Druze. Its secular nature also clashed with religious factions. Western powers, particularly the United States, once again recognized an opportunity to counter Baathism. They adopted a classic divide and conquer strategy, supporting Sunni Islamist groups to undermine Baathist rule. I would like to point out again that many Sunnis were secular and supported Baathism, illustrating how Syria's divisions were not strictly religious but far more nuanced. In 1970, Hafez al-Assad, an Alawite military officer and staunch Baathist, seized power in Syria. Assad's rule brought an end to Syria's political instability, but at a steep price. To maintain control, Hafez ruled with an iron fist. He crushed dissent brutally, whether it came from religious factions, political rivals, or even members of his own Baath party. Hafez was acutely aware of Syria's precarious position in the region. As a vocal opponent of Israel and a supporter of Palestinian resistance, he escalated Western and Israeli destabilization efforts. The situation was getting even more intense. To counter this, Hafez did something rather unexpected. He turned to the Soviet Union. Baathism was opposed to communism, but when desperate times come, they call for desperate measures. Hafez made a deal with Moscow that allowed limited Soviet military presence in Syria. Essentially, Hafez said, look, if you guys keep trying to interfere in Syria's internal affairs, we will allow the Soviets greater presence in Syria. This move deterred Western interference as it risked an increased Soviet presence in Syria, thereby the Middle East. In effect, Syria became a buffer state in the Levant, a strategic chess piece in the superpower rivalry of the time. Syria's chaotic state today is the product of deeply rooted geopolitical realities that have shaped its history. The combination of ethnic and religious diversity, the imposition of artificial borders by foreign powers, and persistent foreign interference have all contributed to a volatile and fragmented society. These factors force Syria to navigate a precarious balance between internal unity and external pressures. In the next episode, we'll cover the next 2 points: strategic location and natural resources. Once we cover those, then we can focus on the current state of things and what is in store for Syria's future. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to The Sovereign Thinker. Please drop a comment below, and thank you for watching.